there is the weather is quite changing in the here, so I
Yeah.
got cold. So we will study more about classes and inheritance today. So I
Mhm.
got one good link actually yesterday. Just a minute, what is it link?
Let me take for me myself coffee. I'm coming back.
Yeah, yeah, sure. कल टैंक भरवाना होगा. Hello, are you back?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so we have seen that whenever a class extends, so in this case, basically this is the class animal, okay, which is having run as one method, stop as one method, okay, and
Mhm.
there is a class rabbit which is extending this animal. So rabbit is a child class and animal is a
Mhm.
parent class. And you can see when we are making, so let me open the code. So when rabbit is extending animal, both the
Mhm.
methods of animal rabbit can use now because it has inherited the properties of animal class.
I'm not seeing anything. It's completely white.
Now,
Yeah, now yes.
mhm. So behind this there is a concept of prototype. So when we will learn prototype, then we will learn about it more.
Mhm.
So basically what happens, see, when a class is made, a prototype is also made.
Yes.
Okay, so
We,
what happens,
uh-huh.
that prototype contains everything of this class. So it
Mhm.
contain, for example, in this case, when animal class was made, it was having three things: constructor, run, which was a method, and stop, which was again a method. So
Uh-huh.
when animal was made, its prototype was also made, and its prototype was also containing these three things: constructor,
Uh,
run, and stop. Okay,
yes.
now what happens, similarly here we have two class, one is animal, one is rabbit. Animal is the parent class, rabbit is the child class.
Yep.
Okay, so when so let me go to the code. So this is basically class animal, which is having one constructor, and inside constructor you can copy these three things. So this is a class animal which is having three things: constructor,
Mhm.
and inside this we have two members. One is speed, which is 0, and one
Yep.
is name, and we have one method run. Inside this method we are giving this alert. It runs with speed this, and we have one method stop, in which also we are giving one alert.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
now can you tell me how can I make an object of this?
New object, you mean?
If I want to make an object of this class animal, how can I make it?
Okay, let's do let animal first equal new animal.
Why let
Press.
animal?
Uh,
Can I write
or
anything like animal obj? Will this work?
and new animal. Uppercase. And
No, I can give any name here, or it should be animal only.
yeah. No. Any name, but yeah, but concept should be kind of not similar, but something close. That's why.
So on the right hand side, we will give the class name, but on
Yes,
the
sir.
left hand side, we can give any name for the object.
Yes.
Okay, and in equals to new animal, and then you check the constructor, that how many things are there in constructor. So here it has only one thing, name.
One.
I will pass one variable, that is rabbit,
Let's see. Rabbit.
or whatever you want. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is now a object of animal. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now I will make another class, which is rabbit, and which is extending animal.
Yeah, we have that. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, we have that. Yep.
Okay. So
yes.
my system is
Yeah,
stuck.
and rabbit. Oh, yeah. Take your time. And rabbit have.
Okay. Now rabbit
Does have rabbit some own parameter or value?
Yeah, it can have. That is
okay.
We can make a constructor here also. Or you cannot. So for example, now I will make one method here, that is hide. Okay, and I can write here alert dollar this dot name heights. Okay.
Yep.
So now try to understand this class rabbit. It is a child class. It is having two parameters from this class, speed and name.
All right, two parameters.
Two members.
Speed and name.
Two members.
Two members.
So
okay.
The two members which were of class animal are also now a part of rabbit. Okay. That's why you can see I am using this dot name. I haven't defined name anywhere inside rabbit, but I am using this dot name. Why?
Yes.
Because I am inheriting class animal.
Yep.
This name, which was a part of animal class, is now also a part of rabbit. So I can use this dot name here also. Okay.
Yes.
Now it has three methods: run, stop, and hide. Rabbit class has three methods now: run and stop. Run and stop, why? Because it is inheriting animal class. And hide is a method which is the own method of rabbit.
Yes.
Now when I will make an object of rabbit, const my rabbit equals to new rabbit.
White rabbit.
Remove this.
Uh-huh.
And I will pass any name here, my RAB1. Okay, so now what will happen when I will make this? Then this my RAB1 will go to this name, and this run, stop, and hide I can call using my rabbit. So I can call my rabbit dot run, and I will maybe pass some parameter 20. Let's see what happens. Oh, sorry, I will put console.log.
Yeah, I always prefer console.log. Alert
Now, if
for
you
me.
are working, when we will start working in React, then you will use alert. Then it is not an issue. But when you are working only on JavaScript, then use console.log.
Yeah, there is one more.
If I run this, you can see my RAB1 runs with speed 20.
Yes, all of
What
them.
has happened when I have made this? When I have made the object of rabbit, automatically this class was also initialized, and this name was this dot name was initialized to this RAB1, my RAB1. Okay. And because rabbit is a child class which have access to these methods run and stop, I am able to call my rabbit dot run, and I have passed 20 as a parameter, which has gone as speed. So you can see console.log, this dot name is my RAB1 runs with speed, and this dot speed is 20.
Yeah. What about if it's hide case? If
Yeah, so you can call my rabbit dot hide. So you can see my RAB1 runs with speed 20, and then my RAB1 hides.
my okay.
Okay, so basically this object is having access to all the methods: run, stop, hide, and this dot speed, this dot name, everything.
Yeah.
Because all are public here. If there had would been a private thing, then it would have not worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically now what is happening if we go to the concept? So what happens, basically a prototype concept is used here. So what happens when you do, when this class, an animal class, so animal class has a prototype, that is animal prototype, which contain what? Three things: constructor, run, and stop. I will write here. Similarly, rabbit class also has one prototype, that is rabbit prototype.
Mhm.
Okay, and
Mhm.
so what happens when you do my rabbit.run? Then firstly, rabbit prototype is checked. Okay, but rabbit
Yeah.
prototype only has hide.
Mhm.
Okay, then what happens? It will check the parent prototype.
Mhm.
Okay, so when firstly, what happens? The rabbit object, for instance, to find rabbit.run, the engine checks the rabbit object. First, this rabbit object is checked. This one.
Yep.
This does not have any run method. Then the prototype of this object is checked. That is this class prototype. It also does not have run. Then the prototype of animal class is checked, and here it finds run.
Got it.
Okay, so this is how the flow works. Well, it is basically based on prototype.
Mhm.
The first rabbit object is checked, then its prototype is checked, then rabbit dot prototype, the prototype of rabbit dot prototype, that is animal, that's prototype is checked. Are you getting it?
Yes.
So basically, see, firstly, so rabbit, firstly, my rabbit is checked, then prototype of my rabbit, that is
Uh-huh.
this rabbit class, this is
Uh-huh.
checked, then the prototype of rabbit class, that is animal, that's
Uh-huh.
prototype is checked.
Okay. First one checking currently one. I mean class rabbit. After then going to a parent component. Parent class actually.
Parent prototype.
Uh-huh. Parent prototype.
Okay, so we will discuss it later, but you should have an idea, basic idea of this.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there is one concept called method overriding, and that is a very, very important topic in class.
Method overwriting.
Method overriding.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and
Yep.
it is a concept of this object oriented programming. So basically what is the problem here is, suppose you have same method in the both parent and child class. So for example, here also I will write one
What you
method.
say?
Stop.
Same method.
So for example, you consider a case where in both parent and child class you have a method with the same name.
Okay. Stop and stop. Okay.
Stop and stop. Okay, and this stop is printing something else like console.log inside animal, inside rabbit, and then this dot name, maybe like this.
Mhm.
Okay, so now what will happen when I will call the method stop, always this method will be called, the below one.
Ah, yes.
This
Because
this
yeah.
later,
Dominant.
this above, what happened?
This one is it's dominant. That's why. Yeah.
Right, this one is dominant, so it's like everyone has forgotten the above method.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
so if I call
What's the
stop,
solution?
so first let us see the problem carefully.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So you can see inside rabbit, this one is printing, not this one.
Mhm. Yes.
Stand still is not printing, this one is printing. Okay, so this is called method overriding, that due to
Yep.
the same name of the methods in both classes, parent and child, the child method is always called. Okay, So if I want to call this method, that is the parent one. So what I can do, I can use something, a keyword is there that is called super.
Yes. That's why we
Super
using
dot stop. This will call the parent method, parent stop. So if I run it, so you can see my rabbit stands still. This is also printed because of this word called super.
My rabbit.
Okay. So in React also we will be using this super.
Yeah. In construction.
Okay. So in constructor, right. So what happens when you are initializing the child class? You want that parent constructor should also be initialized. So for example, I want, so let me put a console.log inside constructor. Inside animal constructor, and let me place a constructor here also. And I will put here console.log inside rabbit constructor. So what will happen when I will make the object of this class rabbit? The rabbit constructor, oh, what happened? Console.log. So see what you can see. You can see a error is coming. Okay, so now the problem here is I have make constructor in the child class, but what is happening? I haven't placed a keyword called super. Okay, so what will happen when the object of this will be made, of this child class rabbit will be made, this will be called, okay, and this will not be called.
Yep.
So parent class will not be initialized. Okay, so and this initialization is important because in this constructor only you are getting these members, speed, name and all. So if parent class is not initialized, rabbit, the child class, will not be having access to these, will not be able to, these variables are not now not made in the memory because this is not even called. Okay.
Yes.
So see what happens when inside rabbit I was not having a constructor and I was making an object of this class rabbit, then automatically this constructor was getting called. Okay, the parent constructor. And here all the initialization and everything was done. But when I put constructor here, what will happen? This constructor will call when I make an object of rabbit, and this will not be called. And when this will not be called, then this is a problem because everything is inside this constructor, speed, name, everything. This constructor is very important. So before this constructor, this should be called. So that's why we, at the first line of the child constructor, you have to write super. What the super will do, before calling this constructor, it will call this constructor. So let me run it, then it will be clear to you. So you can see first inside animal constructor is called this one, then this one is called inside rabbit constructor because of this word super. So the role of super is to initialize the parent constructor or to call the methods which are overridden, like stop, super dot stop. Okay, so that's why whenever, if you are working in React, you have seen that whenever you make a class component, Inside the constructor, you write first line at super.
Mhm.
This is to
Got it.
initialize the parent class, initialize the parent constructor.
Mhm.
Otherwise, JavaScript will throw an error. Okay,
I
got it?
understand. Yes.
So that's why this super is very, very important to understand.
Yeah. Now I'm happy to know that one.
So this is actually used in React. So that's why I'm going through some detail.
Yep.
So
Yep.
because someone can ask you like, why whenever you make a class component, you write super in the constructor. So your answer should be, when we are inheriting a class, the child class, before the child constructor is called, the parent constructor should be called. So
Mhm.
to call the parent constructor, we use super.
Yep.
Okay, and this super should always be the first line of the constructor. So if I place
Got it.
this as the second line, then this will again throw an error.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
It is not throwing an error, but you can see in Java it
Undefined.
throws
Yeah.
an error. But you can see first rabbit is called, then animal is called.
Mhm.
So this is not what we want, because you can see undefined is coming. We want that first parent should be initialized, then child.
Yep.
Okay, so super should be the first line in a constructor.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, this link, I found it quite useful. So I thought let us discuss.
I'm gonna type. Yeah.
It has a lot of things actually, a lot. Okay. So one thing is, in the super we can pass values also. So for example, inside rabbit constructor there were two things, name and year length. So I want that this name that is passed to the rabbit constructor should go here to animal. So super, then we can pass this name. So what will happen? This constructor will be called with that name, whatever we are passing.
Yep.
In this case, white rabbit. So this new rabbit will initialize this constructor. When this will be called, this will be called because of super, and name will go as white rabbit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
We can override not only methods but also class fields. Consider this example. Name. Okay, how overrides name field? There is no constructor, so animal constructor is called new animal. New animal will call this one animal. This, so animal constructors combined. Won't fail, not the override. Okay. So see, this is also good learning. So see what has happened in the earlier example. We have overrided one method stop. Okay. Now suppose
Yep.
we override one variable. For example, here I have something, maybe animal uh,
Speed.
animal age maybe like this,
Okay.
which is having some value maybe 20. And okay, and the same variable I am having here also, animal age, which is having a value of 25.
Mhm.
Okay, now in the method what was happening, that this stop was always called because this stop was overridden.
Mhm.
This stop was forgotten and always this was getting called.
Mhm.
Okay, but in case
Yes.
of methods, in case of variables, this will not happen. So
It's exception.
so that is what they are saying. So they are saying that when they have name equals to animal and we are printing, so let us try this out.
Yeah. Output
So
is same. Animal.
so for example, here if I write console.log this dot animal age, okay, and here also if I write console.log this dot animal age, and let me remove this all. If I make an object of rabbit,
Mhm.
similarly if I, and it is not mandatory you assign the object, you can just write new rabbit. So what
Yep.
it will do, it will make an object of rabbit class and it will automatically call this constructor.
Yes.
Always keep in mind that whenever the constructor is made, whenever
Mhm.
the object is made, the constructor is called, and object
Yep.
is made using new keyword. So new, and if I pass animal, animal is also expecting some name, so let us pass that also.
$20. Yep.
No, it is giving a
That should be
error.
2020.
Yeah, it should be 2020 because here also it will print this and there also it will print that. In other words, parent constructor always uses its own field value, not the overridden value.
Mhm. Animal. This animal and rabbit. Okay.
Then it's all about prototype. Animal 8. This is also prototype. Okay. So that these things we will discuss when we will learn prototype. So
Mhm.
till then, I will discuss one interview question with you,
Mhm.
and it is quite a tricky question actually.
Mhm.
It was asked to me in an interview. First, let me send you this link also.
Uh-huh. I found out already. Yeah, I have
You
already.
found out. Okay, that's fine then. So, yeah. So,
Yes, they're asking what's the inheritance. First question being like that, probably.
this question is actually not related to inheritance,
Mhm.
but it is related to bind method. So you know about bind, right? We have discussed earlier.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the now the interviewer asked me, can you implement your own bind?
probably answer is yes,
So
but
like
how? But I
matlab,
can explain.
basically matlab, first try to understand the question. So what they are saying is, like, whenever you make a function,
Mhm.
for example, let me go to first.js. So for example, I have make a function like this, and when I do my function dot, then you can see a lot of methods come: bind, call,
Yes.
everything. So what they are saying, that instead of using this bind, you make
Mhm.
your own bind.
Mhm.
Okay, so it will be like function my bind,
Mhm.
like this. And then what I will do, I will do my func dot my bind, not bind.
Uh-huh. We're gonna use inheritance.
No
Yes.
inheritance, no
Okay.
inheritance. So this is one of the very tricky questions uh, that I found. So do you have any idea how can
That
we do it?
I told my idea already. With
This.
inheritance, maybe, or is new object.
So can you tell me what bind does?
Bind. We can. There is echo. That's why. Give me 1 second. Bind is we can use our function, our current function. We can bind other function to current function. Basically, for that one, we need call separately. It's not execute automatically.
So you are missing something. So I will give you an overview again. So bind methods make a duplicate of your function, and
Uh-huh. Yeah.
it sets the reference of that function to some object. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and it returns a function. Okay, it
Yep.
always returns a function.
Mhm.
Okay, bind methods make a duplicate of your function. It set your function, it set your this function, your sets your function to some reference, and it returns that duplicate function. Okay, so
Yep.
whenever interviewer asks you that can you implement your own bind, first go through the definition of bind. Okay, what was the definition? That I have to make one function in which I will return one function.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
This is
inside this
right.
function my bind, I know my first step is I will return a function from this my
Mhm.
bind, because that is what bind does.
Yeah.
That is bind does. That is the main job of bind, to make a duplicate and return that duplicate function. So
Mhm.
first step is it will return a function. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Then what the variable name we can give? Caller function, right? So now think, you know that this bind methods is always
Mhm.
used with some function. You always use like my function dot bind, right?
Yes.
So this bind is always used with some function name. So
Yep.
it means there is some caller function which is calling this bind.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so see, the main job of bind is to make a duplicate. So in our case, we have to make a duplicate of my function.
Yep.
Okay, and I think you forgot what bind does. So first let me explain it properly.
No,
So
bind, apply methods, callback methods.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens? This is asked me in the interview that I gave on Saturday. So that's why I'm discussing it here. So basically, what I want is that this my function, I want a duplicate of this my function, and this keyword of this function should point to this obj1.
Mhm.
So this dot name, when I am calling that duplicate, this dot name should print ABC.
Mm.
Okay, this is my use
Yes.
case. For
Mhm.
that I will use bind. How I will
Yeah.
use bind? My function dot bind, and I will pass obj1 here.
Yeah.
This, when I will write this, it will return me a duplicate function.
Yep.
Okay, and when I will call that duplicate function, then this name will be printed, which is ABC.
Mhm.
Const duplicate function equals to, and when I will call this duplicate function, so you can see ABC is printed.
Yep.
Okay, so when I have run this line, my function dot bind obj9, then a duplicate function was returned by bind, and this was set to obj, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's forget that there is some bind. We are making our own bind. So what we know,
Mhm.
oh sorry, my battery is low, just 1 minute.
Take it time.
So what I know, that whatever function that I will make my bind,
Mhm.
it will return a function, and
Yeah.
this
New function.
function will always be called with some function. Matlab, there will be some callee function which will call it. Like in our case, my function, which is a callee function, which will
Yeah.
call this my bind. So I will take this function const callee function, or maybe caller function, which is this.
Mhm.
And inside this function, we will call this caller function dot caller function, and I know that this I will be having some object reference. So caller function dot apply, and I will pass this object reference.
Apply or bind?
No, inside this function we will call apply. I will tell you.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Uh-huh.
Dot call object reference. Dot apply this context, comma, args.
Second.
So this function will now work as a bind. So let's see what I've done. So first step was I have made a function my bind, and this was taking one parameter because bind always take a object reference. This is compulsory.
Yes.
Okay, so similarly my bind also taking one reference object. So this is an object. In this case obj9. Okay. Now
Yes.
second thing is this will return a function. So we are also returning a function because bind always return a function. Then third step was this was called with some function. So there should be some caller function. Okay. So in our case, it will be this. This keyword. This keyword will be caller function. In our case, it will be myfunc. So myfunc is caller function. Okay. Then you can pass some arguments also. So there can be some arguments also with bind. For example, like you can pass after obj9 inside bind, you can pass some arguments also. So if there are some arguments, then we are taking that arguments also. And then inside this function, I am using caller function dot apply because I want to call this function in the function that will be returned. Inside that function, we will be calling this function. Because I want to make a duplicate of this function. So I have to call this function. And when I am calling it, so you know, in case of call and apply, they immediately invoke the function. They immediately call the function.
Yep.
And when I'm using this apply, then I am using this object ref, that is the object and the arguments.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, it looks a little bit tough and tricky, but
Yeah,
it's a very important interview question.
I hope they're not gonna ask me.
But no problem. But you should be aware of it. You should be aware of it. You have a lot of time. You can go through it, see it. But I want you to be aware of this type of question they can ask you.
Yeah.
This is a very, very, very tricky question. So just try today, try to understand the concept, what actually bind does. So bind returns a function. So here also we are returning a function. Bind is always called with some function, like in our case, my function. So here also there should be some caller function, and that will be this.
Correct.
And inside this return function, we are calling this function with apply, and we are passing this object reference. So just try to understand this, and tomorrow we will discuss it again if you are not getting it. Okay.
All right.
But
if I can watch the video, yes, let's do tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. But I think you will be able to get it.
Okay, nice.
Okay. And I can send you this link also. I've sent you this link also.
Oh, nice. I hope you have time to upload the video.
Yeah, actually my system is so slow, it always takes so much time. But I will upload it as soon as it works, as soon as the video is made. Then
please.
YouTube also again takes some time.
Yeah, I know.
For processing and all, so that's why it always takes so much time.
All right, okay. I sent already. Thank you.
Yeah,
I very
got it. Yeah,
appreciate you.
Yeah, so let's connect tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.